What's up, guys, and welcome back to Wake Up Entertainment. So, there is something striking that was revealed at the Meiwa trial, and this came during the cross examination of Brigadier Gininda. The issue is that Advocate Nxumalo asked Brigadier Gininda if he went to the witnesses with the confession statements that he had gotten from the accused to check if those confession statements made any sense at all. On particular issue was the confession statement that was made by Bongani Ntanzi. And in that confession statement, Ntanzi is said to have said that when he ran out of the house, Mthokozisi Mapisa ran into the house. So Advocate Nxumalo was asking Gininda, did you ask the witnesses that were in the house and ask them that was there a person that ran out of the house and another one running straight into the house? The explanation that was given by Gininda was to say that when the first shot was fired, the witnesses that were in the house, they all ran in different directions. So it's more of like they turned their back, then ran away. So they couldn't see what had been happening. So there was no reason for me as Gininda to go to the witnesses and ask them if they had seen somebody else entering the house. So the challenge that is there is that looking at this answer from Brigadier Gininda and then taking the testimony of Zandile Khumalo, those two do not match at all. Because when Zandile Khumalo testified, she said that she indeed ran to the toilet. But when she got into the toilet, she was seeing what was happening through the toilet door. So she was watching, what was happening. And Gininda actually heard that testimony. So taking that testimony from Zandile Khumalo and what Gininda is saying with regards to the issue of saying that nobody saw, that is the witnesses, what happened after the first shot was fired, it does not make any sense. So with that testimony from Zandile Khumalo, where she said she was seeing what was happening through that door, so we can be assured, right, that they were able to see who was entering and who wasn't entering, because they also even told us that the Khumalo house in itself is a very, very small house, with respect to the Khumalo family. It was not this huge house with big rooms, but the rooms were particularly kind of small. So the statement from Gininda to say the witnesses did not see anything is not making sense here. So the unfortunate part that is there is that Advocate Nxumalo was not able to ask Brigadier Gininda further with regards to this testimony of Zandile Khumalo. Yeah, it's like, there are so many questions that they'll be having to ask Brigadier Gininda. There will be so much going on. So the defense advocates do not have, the benefit to do the kind of research that we're able to do on this side. So going further, with this issue of Mapisa running into the Khumalo house, it said that, he ran into the house, he touched the head, then he ran out again. So it's kind of confusing, as to, by this version of the events, as to what was really going on through Mapisa's head, So connecting the two testimonies and what Mapisa did, it does not make sense. It just does not fit in together. So what does this all mean? This entire cross-examination, these testimonies, piecing them together, there are certain elements that just don't fit in together. And obviously, this is the purpose of the cross examination, of the re examination, because some of these things will be coming up as time will be going on. So we can be sure of one thing, that this issue can even be visited later on in the Meiwa trial as will be going on, because every word, every statement, it's recorded down and it's even referred to back, and it's actually asked to say, on this day you said this and that. You said the witnesses in the house, they turned their back, they ran away, so they were not able to see if there was a third person who entered the house or not. So looking at the testimonies of Gininda, this is not, the first time that Gininda stories are just not adding up. If you go back to other testimonies, they just don't add up sometimes. But also in other instances, the stories do add up, but there are gaps, in the stories themselves. So, looking at this issue of the witnesses turning their back and running away, a much better response for Brigadier Gininda could have been, I forgot to do the follow up, or I didn't think about it. I thought that I had already gotten the confessions. So I thought that I had already closed the deal. So I felt there was no need for me to verify with the witnesses. It could have been better that way, but the challenge obviously is that if he is to put it that way, then the defense was going to argue that you did not do a thorough investigation. So Gininda was running away from that question. But the challenge now is that in running away from that question, he then ran into this trap, which can be exposed, through the testimony of Zandile Kumalo. But this is a minor issue. This this discrepancy, I don't think it's that big of an issue to be able to tilt the case either left or right. It's something minor, something small, just a small gap in the testimonies. But obviously it can create just a small dent too. It also, even, yes, it can create that small dent. So this is like my observation, after sitting down, thinking and listening to the testimonies back and forth about what was being said, and finally getting to this a discrepancy between the testimonies. So I'll catch you guys on the next one.